Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm VB&D, listening to episode 151 of the Sit Down Podcast, and I'm excited. Let's hear some banter.
Have you heard about our new radio station? It's called Funky Moose Radio, where we play alternative and indie rock, sprinkle in some blues and Americana. We feature the music from our guests on this podcast at least once per hour. These songs can be in any genre. We're working on getting the station on every mobile app available, but the easiest way to listen is at funkymooseradio.ca. You should also become a VIP because we'll be giving away some prizes. Again, check it out at funkymooseradio.ca.
Perfect.
Right.
How in the heck are ya? Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. It's an honor. It's a pleasure, and I'm excited.
I haven't seen you since before Christmas.
Mhm.
So were you at the open mic the other day? Was he there?
Yeah, he totally was. He's been at
Okay. Every one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So for
I think-
those of you watching and listening, I had the pleasure of meeting this fine gentleman at I think it was the open stage before we took it over. Was the first time you and I officially met.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we were talking about was it a nomination or an award that you had won a couple years ago? That video, you had an acceptance speech that I saw
And
where
you
you're running
were
through
running-
a parking lot or
You
something.
were running somewhere.
Yeah. I won the R&B Artist of the Year last year for the SAS Music Awards, and my
Nice.
acceptance speech. I didn't hand any acceptance speeches in just because I was like, I procrastinated it and then it was too late. But then they contacted me. They're like, "Hey, send in an acceptance speech." So I'm like, I'll make one today. And then that hour, I had actually woke my roommate up from his room, and I was like, "Hey, I got this idea. Let's go to this parkade, and I'm gonna make you run behind me while I record." And so we just recorded the video. It's me. He's essentially chasing me through a parkade, and I'm just like accepting the speech, but I'm like so out of breath. So like, it was pretty funny. Everyone liked it, and definitely like sets the stage for kind of the antics that I'm known for, what I like to do. I like to be a little unorthodox with my approach to stuff, including music and, social media presence and all that kind of thing.
And the winner for the 2021 Saskatchewan Music Award R&B Artist of the Year is VB&D.
Hey everybody, it's me, VB&D. I don't know what to say, honestly. I'm honored. Thank you for this. I never expected to win R&B Artist of the Year. This is crazy. I have a lot of people to thank, so I'll thank them right now. First of all, Katie Tupper for being there for me and helping me write all this music. The Soulmate Collective, the people that played on it, thank you very much. My family, my friends, I couldn't do it without your support. And thank you to SAS Music for the opportunity to be able to share my music, and I humbly accept this reward. Thank you so much.
I thought it was great. So once I realized that was you, we just kind of hit it off, and we since we got to know each other, I enjoy seeing you at the open stage, man, and I'm still getting to know you a little bit better and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I do have to commend you as well. It was the first night that we were hosting.
Yes.
And near the end of the night, I would have to give a bulk of the credit for that jam session at the end of the night towards you, because you had a big finger in there to gather the people up. Like, for those of you out there, this gentleman, grabbed a guitar player, you went on bass, got himself a drummer, and then pulled up two hip hop guys to come up on stage, and the whole thing was freestyle.
I told the two hip hop guys, like, hey, you should hang out with them, and they were like, okay.
Oh man, it sounded so flippin' good.
Awesome.
It was so good, dude, and for that to kick off our first night as hosting,
Yeah.
that was the highlight of my night, and it just opened a floodgates of thoughts and ideas of what to expect in the year.
And to me,
and what
it
to
was
do.
like, this is why we're doing it.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. So I want to thank you for that, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of that throughout the year here. What was like? How long have you been going to the open stages on Tuesdays at the Capitol?
Jeez, man, it's been like since 2016, maybe 2017. Back then, when Sammy was the host, the guy that I got to play guitar with me on stage that night, he was the host,
Right.
and I had this band, and we were like, let's play an open mic. Let's just go to open mic and play it. So we went to the Capitol, and like we'd go to the Capitol for shows and stuff, but never open mic, and never as regularly as we did. And so I ended up becoming friends with Sam. And I was just getting into like bass playing at the time too, like really heavy into it. And he,
Uh-huh.
pretty much taught me how to jam, how to improvise. And then for the next like 3 years, I was like pretty much the house bassist. We didn't have a house band at the time, but we had dudes that would show up. And whenever there's like a lull or
Yeah.
whatever, like similar to what you guys want to do, is we'll just go up there and play, right? And there comes like a whole
Yeah.
host of problems with that kind of approach to it. When it's not a set thing, rather than it was a host making these decisions. But then at the same time, open mic couldn't have been
Right.
what it was without that constant like presence of musicians that I hope was inspiring people
Yeah.
enough to like want to get up there every week and come play and stuff. And I know we had a lot of fun. So it's been since like 2016, 2017.
Oh, nice.
And then, of course, COVID happened, and then it just, everything.
Yeah.
I think everything past COVID kind of isn't the same. So hopefully, what you
Right.
guys are going to do, brings it back to where it was, and I'm excited, and try to make out to as many as I can. But yeah.
January 10th, my dude, you're gonna want to be at that one, I think.
Yep.
That's gonna be
What's
another
going on
big
there?
one. What? We're going to be introducing a house band on that one. So we've got a permanent drummer, a permanent bass player, and what we want to do with the guitar player is we want to make that interchangeable. So like every 4 or 6 weeks, we'll bring in a different guitar player to like be that guitar player for the house band. But ideally, like, I guess, quote unquote, business wise, we don't want that house band on stage, right?
Yeah.
Their
Yeah.
purpose, like, we'll kick it off with them on the 10th and stuff, but their purpose is to just be there in case it's like a dead night or something, and then we can still have live music. So we'll throw the band up to play a few not sets. What's the word I'm looking for?
Few songs.
Like little blocks in the schedule or whatever.
But it's also for when there's a vocalist that doesn't necessarily know how to play any guitars or any instruments, that can go up there and tell the house band, like, okay, I have this in mind, can you play this? And then
Yeah, hopefully
give them
they
a
can
couple
pick it
minutes
up
to figure it out
and
go.
be there
Yeah.
to jam. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the concept for the house band, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, so if you started playing bass, what'd you say, 2017, 2016?
I think it's been since I was 20, so about 7 years ago is when I
Right.
started.
So in those 7 years, holy shit, man, you've been able to like reel in an R&B award for SAS Music. That's incredible, dude. That's got to feel so not only rewarding, but man, it's just got to feel good
So
for that recognizability, right?
Let's go to your music background. Like, how I know you're in at least one band, but I have a feeling you're in more.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of one of those guys that you ask to play. Like, I have 2 projects that I'm married to. One being my own stuff, which is like my main project, and then the other one being a band called After 2 AM. I play bass in an indie band, and that's the band that really started me playing bass. The guitarists, they're playing guitar, right? They didn't want to switch to bass, and I was like, you know what? I think it might be a little fun if I try it out. So I tried it out, and I fell in love with it, and sold my guitars and bought some bass gear and some basses and stuff, and just been kind of committed to bass playing. I mean, I could still play guitar and I can play a lot of other things. I think as a songwriter, you have to kind of, especially as a songwriter of like what I'm going for, you kind of have to do all instruments, which I try, but it's just, playing bass, I've never plateaued in the sense that I've never had a lull. I've always learning, or I'm like always still just in love with it. Whereas, I mean, I've been playing guitar since I was like 12 years old, and there'd be years where I just wouldn't like even touch my instrument because I was so bored of it, and like not learning anything new or writing anything worth writing, I guess. But with the bass, it's been like non-stop. So yeah, it's been.
Oh, that's great, man.
Cool.
Yeah,
That is great.
And with what did you say the band name was? After 2 a.m.
After 2 a.m.
yeah.
Didn't you just release a single not that long ago?
We released an EP. It was a live off the floor EP. So it's. I mean, the last song was kind of just in studio production of us messing around with a couple ideas, but for the most part, the 4 out of the 5 songs, those are recorded live, and we did that in a weekend, on top of also recording a full-length album that's going to be about 10 or 11 tracks long. So we had some pretty long days, man. We had one day that was 14 hours of recording, and then we slept for a bit, and then we did the second day, which was 19 hours of recording, which was like until 5 a.m. kind of. Wake up at 8, head into the studio, work until 5 a.m., go to sleep kind of thing. And then we did another couple hours the next day, but yeah.
That's
Do you-
committed.
So
Can we ask, like, where do you record that? Do you do that all yourself, or do you go into like somebody else's studio to do that?
we have a friend who's very talented at engineering, and he releases his own music. His music is under the Gladstones, or the Gladstone. He's a close friend of ours. We've known him for a while, and he's got a studio. So we went out to west of Saskatoon, about I want to say an hour and a half, kind of south of North Battleford. If you guys know Canadian geography, whoever's watching, and it's just like it's his family's farmhouse, and we got to stay at his grandpa's farmhouse, which was literally just like a short walk away from the main house. And he's got a studio out there, and we trust him, and he's very good.
I like those studios that are not really made to be studios, but when you get there, it kind of becomes this thing where magic happens.
Oh yeah, no, I mean his family is they're like a traveling gospel band,
Okay.
so they invested heavily into an actual studio. So it is like a fully functional studio. It's got a control room, and then it's got a full big band room with like drums and where we'd stand and record the stuff. And then he's got like a dedicated amp room, so we can like not have any mic bleed from amps and stuff. It's a fully functional studio, but and I know he does some stuff, but I think it's just mostly for like him and his family to record, but also
Right.
mostly his kind of thing, So it is like a pretty impressive space, honestly. I wish it was in Saskatoon. It'd be a lot easier to
Yeah.
get people to go and record,
No doubt. I think a lot to do with it when recording is not just the equipment you have to do the recording, but also like the guy who's producing it, the guy who's recording it. I think is a huge key factor in it, because I mean, like, if you guys don't get along, it's gonna come out as shit.
Yeah.
Like, for sure.
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, you're spending hours and hours with each other too. Like for my album, the VBD album, Scumfunk. Oh, one sec.
Yeah.
For the video watchers out there, this album, it I got Sammy Lee Fokerson, the old host of the open mic, to engineer for me. And everyone in the band was like, we're all friends, right? So we just like
Yeah.
spend. This was in 2020, in the middle of the pandemic. We went to a studio in August and recorded a 15-track album in a couple weekends. And but yeah, like
Oh man.
we're all
That's-
friends. We all just hung out, and
Freaking right.
Yeah,
that's
Sammy's
the
the man.
best. It's very organic that way. Hey.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I can't imagine having to go into a studio just because you picked an engineer that, comes highly regarded. You and you're there. It's like,
Mm.
I don't like this dude at all.
Yeah. 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 I got a question
Yeah.
for you. If I wanted one
What's
of
up?
those vinyl records, where would I get one of those?
You can find them online, I'm pretty sure. We've done some like limited edition presses on Discord, or not Discord. What's it called? Not Discogs. Q rates, where they'll. It's like it's like a crowdfunding thing, right? So you set a goal, and if you meet that goal, they'll print out your record and stuff. So we've sold the ones I just showed you. I think we sold 250 of. And then we did another one of my first album. We did 2 presses, 2 editions of that. The first one was 100, which we ended up selling 136. And then the second one was 300, which we ended up selling out as well.
Oh, nice.
But a lot of record distributors would buy that in bulk, you know. So you can find them all over the world if you're lucky enough to find them in a record shop.
Yeah, they'd buy like, what, 10, 20, 30 of them at a time and then just retail.
Yeah.
Yeah,
something like that.
Funky Moose is a Q-Rates retailer too. So there
nice.
are a few records in the bins here that like one of the Wolfpack albums as well.
Oh, nice, yeah.
So if I wanted, could I order that record from Funky Moose Records?
No. I would have to order it from Q-Rates and then get it in here,
and then
I would distribute
and then
them.
retail it.
Yep.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Very cool,
Yeah.
man.
Unless you were the one of the, it's kind of like a Kickstarter, but for vinyl.
Okay.
Maybe they do CDs too. I don't know, but
I think it's just vinyl.
I think so too. Yeah. But yeah, if you're a backer of the project, then you get it directly from Q-Rates.
Interesting.
Is it Q-Rates or is it Crates? I always pronounce
I
it
think
as
it's
Crates
Q-Rates.
because record crate.
I don't know. They follow me on Instagram, so I'll probably get in trouble if I pronounce it wrong. But I think it's Q-Rates. That's what I call it, anyways.
I had a call with one of the sales guys there, and I may have asked, but I forgot. I don't know.
If
I'm
it's
gonna go
Crates,
with
then I'm
Crates.
so sorry.
That's funny. Well, if they're out there watching, put it in the comments below.
Yeah, exactly. Correct us.
Very good. Very good. So okay, if you're like I don't want to talk about the open stage really anymore, but I want to ask you, like, in 2022, how many times were you able to have like shows, paying gigs, being on stage performing for a crowd? Was it frequent or
I'd
was
say,
it like
like,
once a month, every?
I think for personal projects, we only did a couple shows in the later months of 2022. But with After 2 AM, like, because I'm in 2 bands, right, I would do shows with
Right.
them, and we did some in May. We did one in May, and then as a hired gun, which is, you know,
Yeah.
what people ask me to do. I've done more shows. I think I've played more fill-in shows than I did my own projects, which is always nice. It's, you know, it's money, and it's a chance to get up there and play, and maybe play with people you wouldn't necessarily play with before, and just like build that camaraderie. You know,
For sure.
I think music is a great attractor of putting minds together, and, you know, like those 2 rappers that we pulled up on stage that one Tuesday. Now those dudes are homies, so if we ever need somebody, we're like, oh, we don't got a singer, just get one of these guys to go up to the stage. You know, it's just one of those things where you just build a relationship.
Fully capable of doing
Yeah.
that. Shout
Mhm.
out to Ill Humanation
Yeah.
out there in Saskatoon. You guys are great, man. Love you guys.
Did we book them yet?
I don't know if you did or not. I never did. I wanna
talked
get to know
Jemai,
them.
but I don't think
I need to get to know them a little bit better before I bring them into my home.
No, they're coming.
You're like, just bring them. Hell yeah, dude. Well, maybe we'll see them at the open stage, hopefully.
Yeah.
So what would you say is more rewarding for you as an artist? I feel like I already know the answer to this question, but would you rather doing like the session guitar playing or performing your own band on stage, or are they very, very similar?
I think they're very similar. One of my goals is to just be a session guy. You know, one of those guys you pay to come and do it in a couple takes, because I feel like I'm capable of doing that. But I'm also like, I also take direction really well when it comes to people's music, and, you know. But then again, playing your own stuff and performing your own stuff, that's just a great feeling. So, but they're pretty close for me. I think that me performing my own stuff would take the priority, though. And what I truly enjoy the most, if by like a little bit.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
What would you say was like your in the last 5 years? What would you say is your most memorable performance that you've had the opportunity to play?
We played a Jazz Fest in 2019, and it was this 612 lounge here in Saskatoon in the Sheraton building, like the hotel's lounge, and we packed the place. There was a lineup out of the door, out almost onto the street, that people were trying to get into our show, and it was just an awesome show. Like at the end of it, when we played our last song, people cheered so loud that my ears, it was like a high pass filter, because it was just so loud. You ever get that? Definitely ear damage from that show, but it was awesome, and that was the first iteration of the VB&D band, and man, those guys can play. It was awesome, and all our friends were there. Everybody, there's strangers there that we didn't know, but they were like throwing down because of the music we were playing.
Yeah,
it
dude.
was super dope. So that's definitely a highlight. I hope I haven't peaked yet. I got some plans in the works for some new music and some like new projects and traveling and stuff, but nothing concrete. So hopefully that's not the highlight. It was my and that was our first show too. That was the first VB&D show ever.
Oh my
wow.
God, that's
so hopefully it
freaking
wasn't.
fantastic, dude! To be able to have that, like that much of a crowd, and that being that receptive. You know what I mean? For
Yeah.
it being your first show is fabulous, man. I commend you. Well, you like I've seen you play. You're no joke, man. When you're up there, like you clearly know what the fuck you're doing. So like I gotta give props where props are due, man. You're an amazing
Thank you.
artist, a talented bass player from what I've seen,
And there's also something about his stage presence, because most bass players stand there with their bass, and the only thing that moves is their fingers.
and this guy's all over the
Not
stage.
Devin. No.
Yeah, I did notice you chew a lot of gum, don't you?
Yeah, I'm. If I'm not chewing, then I'm like fiddling or fidgeting. So when I'm playing bass, it helps. Not that it helps me. It's like I don't need it, but also my mouth just gets super dry when I'm stage. So like, I'll drink like 3 pints during a set just because my mouth keeps getting dry. I'm not even speaking. I'm not singing or anything. But like my mouth just gets dry. So yeah, I do chew gum. But to speak on my stage presence, also, I like to boss people around. Like I like to be like, hey, we're gonna go to this part here, or hey, you take a solo, or whatever. So I'm always like jumping around. That's kind of how my shows go as well.
Right.
I put an emphasis for the VB&D stuff. I put a large emphasis on the improvisation. So whoever I ask my band, I'm confident
Right.
in their skills, and it's kind of hard to find people that are into like jazzy soul music in Saskatoon, just because there's such a big market for other types of music. So it's hard to find dudes that can rip. So yeah, that's my stage presence. I just jump around, tell people what to do, tell them to take a solo in the middle of the song, or a double chorus or whatever.
Oh, dude, that's amazing. That takes talent to be able to do that,
Yeah.
for sure. And play with people that can do that, 100%. I do have a question for you. So the letters in your stage name, I need to know what those stand for.
That was my question.
They don't really stand for anything. I used to listen to this YouTube channel called Majestic Casual, and they were doing like cool experimental electronic music back when I was doing experimental electronic, just trying to find the sound and trying to find what I wanted to do before I even picked up the bass and stuff. And there was this dude, I think his name was like OKM or something. I was like, that's cool. Just letters for your name, like that's different. It's better than calling myself like Lil
Yeah.
Devin or something, Coming up with a name is tough, so it's yeah, it was just VB&D, and I was just like, yeah, whatever, that sounds cool.
Right, so there's
and
no specific word that's tied to those letters. It's just a jumble of letters that sound good together.
yeah, essentially. I mean, it's like Devin's in there, so D, right? But that's pretty much it. So it's yeah,
Well, from now on, I'm going to call you Little Devin.
Lil Devin. You can if you
yeah.
want.
That's what we should. That's what we should name the house band at the Cap. Lil Devin. See how
Oh
that
my
goes.
god, don't do it.
I'm just fucking with you. How about that? How the frick did you get Jazz Fest to be the first show that
yeah.
you ever did?
Oh yeah.
How
I
did
didn't
that
even-
happen?
I think that a large part of that was like stats on the internet. I've been kind of enigmatic where at the time not a lot of people knew about my music or about me in Saskatoon, but I was getting like hundreds of thousands of plays and listeners from around the world. So I think that really helped with getting the attention. And then you start playing shows and stuff, and then you start building a local rapport. But like even still to this day, I don't even think Saskatoon cracks the top 100 cities. There's a list that I could access, but like one of the top cities is Sydney, Australia for me, and that's like 25,000 people there listening to my music. And then the next is like Los Angeles, and then Seattle, and a lot of West Coast North American cities. But then there's also like South Korea is really big for me. Same with Brazil. Actually just got Spotify, so they shot straight up to like number 4 top 10 countries for listeners for me.
Oh, wow.
I'm breaking 450,000 monthly listeners on Spotify alone. So it's cool to see those stats. And yeah, I mean, like Saskatoon doesn't even crack top 100 cities.
I know, that's so funny, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, would you have like any inclination or like any idea as to how, why, and what made it break so popular in those places in the world? Like, is there something specific that you could possibly attach it to, or is it just,
It
you
just
know,
happened.
it just happened?
I think that a lot of people, and myself included, have been trying to figure that out.
Right.
I truthfully and honestly don't know what I did. I think, you know, the music speaks for itself, but also I think that there's a large factor of luck involved with, especially with today's music industry, where it's so saturated with every kind of music you can imagine. But there were definitely a couple times where I got lucky. Like I spoke about Majestic Casual earlier. They had, I think, 3 million subscribers at the time. And they had found one of the tunes that I made, one of the electronic tunes that I made, and they contacted me and they wanted to release it under their label and on their
Right.
YouTube and stuff. So that was like I was only making like 1,000 monthly listeners back then, but then that shot me up to like 30,000, then to 80, then to 100, 150, just from that one song. And then like doing other stuff like remix competitions. I won Tegan and Sarah remix competition to remix "I Was a Fool." It's on Spotify. It's horrible. That was like one of the first songs I made under VB&D, and it's not great. It's cringe, but it's on Spotify. It's immortalized on their Wikipedia page as well. But then, you know, just getting like these like lucky chances, these lucky breaks, where people would like hear my stuff, post it on their social media. I did a remix for Local Natives, and they posted it on Facebook as well. This is a huge indie band from a couple years back. And so just like little steps of getting lucky, people, the right ears hearing your music at the right time, and then, you know, from there. And then we released Daughter of the Sun, and I was with this label that was located in Miami, I believe, in Florida. And they had really good ties to Sony Music and stuff. So when I got that placement, I released Daughter of the Sun, and then that shot to... We released Smoke, and in a month it got 1 million plays on Spotify and other projects or other subsidiaries, or not subsidiaries, DSPs, which are like streaming platforms.
Right.
So yeah, it's just luck. But at the same time, I think that I don't know what I do, but I think that I have a way with music that people like to listen to it, or it has like a certain like feel to it, or like a signature to it. I'm not too sure, but whatever I do, it usually does pretty well. So I've been blessed with that, and like I said, I think a large factor is luck. You know, getting the right ears on your music at the right time. But then also there's a part that is like the music has to be good for people to listen to it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you
Yeah.
born and raised in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Saskatchewan. I was born in Regina, but I've lived in Saskatoon my entire life, and haven't really lived anywhere else other than Saskatoon these 27 years.
Okay, so if I don't know, man, it's got to be frustrating being like homegrown Saskatoon, and you're blowing up in all these other places in the world, and your own hometown can't even seem to acknowledge or well, not that they didn't acknowledge because of Jazz Fest and stuff, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that's got to be frustrating, where you're like, what is it about Saskatchewan where I'm not getting the same recognition as I am in fucking Australia?
I think I can answer that.
Let's hear it.
because he doesn't play country or rock music.
Right, and I did catch myself when I was asking the question. It's not that Saskatchewan hasn't recognized you, because you won that award a couple of years ago. So like that, I didn't mean it that way. I was just kind of using that as like an example. But yeah, shit, like, because I mean, our freaking neighbors don't know who. I think more people know who we are in like Toronto, BC, Vancouver than they do in like Bellevue. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well. It's
so
also
I can get it, but I find it a little frustrating. It's like, how do you not know what the frick is going on?
He's the neighbor kid, you know.
Uh-huh.
Oh, he has that project. That's
yeah. Oh, it's something in music, but I don't know what it is. I don't know
fun for him to do, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely.
Does it?
In the beginning, it was a little frustrating, you know, because at the start I would send my music into SAS stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Trying to get my name on like the artist section of the freaking local print that we have.
Right.
And to no avail, and I just kind of gave up, and I was like, I'm pretty big in Los Angeles. Let's just like focus my energy towards international stuff. But it was frustrating. Now it's not so frustrating because I do get that recognition and that respect that I wanted. But at the same time, I think I've just become jaded about the music industry in general. So like I said, like I don't really care that much anymore, which also leads to a whole host of problems. Like I don't care enough to like try to
get your acceptance
anymore.
Speeches in on time.
yeah, and like it's not that I don't I don't respect I respect these organizations and these like award shows and stuff, but at the same time, it's just like if I'm not writing music on my own, I'm not going to participate in like anything,
Yeah.
Or I'll play in bands until I get the inspiration to like do my own thing again. But yeah, it's not out of lack of respect. It's just out of lack of like, I think like self-respect maybe. I don't know. I got to go see a therapist. I'm pretty sure to talk about my issues like that.
Is there something? Do you have something that we'd be able to drop in here for the watchers or listeners, so they can get a little taste of what you do?
It's my live version for The Ocean by VB&D featuring Katie Tupper and the Soulmate Collective. It's on YouTube.
Okay.
It's called The Ocean.
Sorry for the interruption, you guys. I just wanted to tell you guys about Muse Canada. They're a new arts and entertainment media connection and support network. Skip the algorithms of social media and connect with other entertainment professionals across Canada. Sign up today for $5 a month or use the promo code FunkyMoose2021 for 10% off. That is FUNKYMOOSE2021 for 10% off. Back to the show.
Hello, I'm Katie Tupper. This is VB&D and the Soulmate Collective. This is our song, The Ocean. Thank you so much, SAS Music, for having us. My girl, she feels like the ocean. She pours, and I want to move her away. My girl, she moves like the ocean. I bathe in her to wash my pain away. So yeah, can I stay here? Can I stay here with you, baby? If I leave now, you'll surely forget my name. My name, my name. My girl, I know she's a winner. A mind so clear, I want to give her more. So, ooh, yeah, yeah. Can I stay here? Can I stay here with you, baby? Yeah. If I leave now, you'll surely forget my name. My name. Can I stay here? Can I stay here with you, baby? If I leave now, you'll surely forget my name. So yeah, 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 yeah. She's a winner, baby, winning me over slowly. She's a winner, baby, yeah, yeah, yeah. She's a winner, baby, winning me over slowly. She's a winner, baby, yeah, yeah, yeah. She's a winner, baby, winning me over slowly. She's a winner, baby, yeah, 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 yeah. She's a winner, baby, winning me over slowly. She's a winner, baby, she's a winner.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about the ocean, and like when you recorded that, and the process, or how it was working with what is it, Miss Tupper?
Yeah.
I forget what her first name was.
Katie?
Katie. Sorry, Katie. We love you.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of music together. She's doing her own thing, and I'm kind of just doing my thing now too. But that song was it was a love song for my then partner at the time, because I felt like I should, I wanted to write a song like that, and I wanted to make it like really vulnerable and really stripped back and smooth, but also have a lot of meaning in the lyrics. I can't write lyrics. I haven't really tried, but I just don't think that I can, because I also can't sing. Not that I haven't tried. I just don't have confidence in my singing ability or my lyricism. So I told Katie everything that I was feeling and all that kind of stuff, and she wrote all the lyrics and sang on the album and stuff. She sang that track, and yeah, we sent her a backing track, bare bones, and she sent back some vocal takes, and I was like, this sounds freaking awesome. Let's record this. So the whole idea of Scumfunk, that the song comes from Scumfunk, the album, was I wanted it to be as live as possible, as like raw. And so all the tracks, most of the tracks are recorded live in one take with like a full band.
Oh, nice.
And that was the one that we recorded live, and Katie had like messed up her voice doing an EP, so we had her, but we didn't keep any of her vocal takes, so we got her to dub in, after a month after I got back all the stems from the engineer and stuff.
Right.
And so that's just a love song that I wrote.
Oh,
and,
hell yeah, man.
Katie wrote the lyrics for it and everything.
I love hearing stuff like that on how it comes together. And then hearing or seeing the final product. Yeah, what?
I love it when a plan comes together.
Yeah. Why were you doing this when...
18? No?
No.
No?
No, because... you're doing that for a cigar?
A cigar, yeah.
Oh, no, okay.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I thought you were... I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand what you're doing. Too funny.
Didn't you grow up in the 80s?
I did, but I mean, if I see somebody doing this, I'm not thinking about cigars. I don't know anybody else out there, but... What are your thoughts and plans moving into 2023? Seeing this is our first episode of 2023.
No, it isn't.
Isn't it?
No.
It's the second.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. We had some episodes that were pre-recorded, so I'm a little out of track here. That's right. This is the second one. Even still, it's January, baby.
Yeah, it's early.
Let's go. So yeah, what are your thoughts on career-wise for 2022 for you personally, and what do you got cooking for 2023?
I'm kind of writing stuff. I'm working with some artists that I've never released music with before. Obviously, we got the After 2 AM album coming out at some point this year. We just released the EP. We got a couple shows planned. I haven't really planned anything for VB&D yet, but I know that there's a house show in the works right now with Ryland Schultz from Il Creatura, or previously known as the Pistol Whips.
Yep.
We got something planned there. But I think for the most part, I think this winter is just going to be a lot of me writing tunes. I was just writing a song while I was waiting for this to, happen at like 6 o'clock. So I'm going to be working on some stuff, but every time I say that, I end up not working on stuff. So I'm trying to figure out how to not jinx myself.
not to jinx yourself. Well, here let me ask you a different question, and if you're open to it, or if you're not open to it, that's totally okay. But the song that you were starting to write and create prior to joining us this evening, could you walk us through that process a little bit? Like, show us where you're at and how it started, and how do you specifically write a song? Seeing as you don't do lyrics and you don't do there was what else did you say? Lyrics and singing.
Yeah.
How do you approach it when writing a song? Do you come up with a melody, or you're just fartsing around with the bass? And can you walk us through that?
Lately, I've been listening. I'll wake up and I'll listen to music. So I've been listening to music all day. Just kind of, I feel like I'm falling out of love with soul music just from what I'm hearing, and there's not a lot that grabs my attention. But every once in a while, there's something that grabs my attention. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I'm like, I'll try something similar to that. So I just made this beat. It's pretty standard, and then I made a bass line, and I don't really, because I put emphasis on improvisation. I don't really write static bass lines,
right?
Like riffs. So I decided to try to switch it up a little bit. I'm also delving into different. There's this genre that I've been doing for a while. It's called neo soul. It's got a very set pattern of drumming and phrasing, and I'm trying to step out of that a little bit and kind of explore other things. So it's definitely a different sounding song than a regular VB&D song so far. Haven't decided if I liked it, or if I'm going to continue working on it. I do have some ideas, but once again, I don't have a guitar on me, so I want to write some stuff for guitar parts on my music, because every time we play a show, I have a guitarist, and I just find it's easier to write a guitar part than it is to tell a guitar to try to play piano chords.
Yeah.
Which, it's most of the time I'll start with the beat, and then I'll mess around with some bass, but I won't record anything, just get the idea. I'll play a root note and I'll hear the chord in my head. And I'm not a very accomplished piano player, so it takes me a while to figure out chord voicings and stuff, but all the chord voicings I have are the ones that I've created myself just by listening, and it's a kind of a tedious process, but I think that it's definitely it was a lot easier to kind of go about it that way when I didn't know anything about music, just because I didn't have any rules,
So when you focus on improvisation, what does that do to the live sets that you do? For example, if you have a song that's on the album, that's recorded, that's kind of set in stone now because it's on physical media and it's out there, how far do you veer off that song when you go on stage? It's okay, this is the bass line, not like the instrument bass line, but the bass line as in this is the direction and go?
Yeah. It's kind of difficult to explain. Some of the time, we'll take a song that's already been established. We did Daughter of the Sun, one of my last shows that I played with the band. Daughter of the Sun has 8.6 million plays on Spotify or something, on Spotify. But I'm kind of bored with it. So in the middle of the solo section, I told the band, let's drop out, let's do a 4 count into a bebop, like a hard bebop, like swing section. So we'll up the tempo about like 100 BPM or 200 BPM, and we'll play like instead of like a song that's like 1, 2, 3, 4. The counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll do like a jazz section of it, just to like switch it up, to have some fun with it. And so at the end of whoever watches like my live shows, we'll play the song, and then after the bulk of the studio section is done, we'll just go into jam section, and we'll just like, I'll do a solo, like I'll keyboard to do a solo. It's pretty much like what you've seen on the at the open mic.
At the open mic.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's
cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like that because we talked about this in the past, where you go to shows and in some cases the live show sounds exactly like it does on the album,
Mhm.
and it's like, well, why are we here exactly? But then when you get to a show like yours, where it's okay,
Where it can go any way.
yeah, I know it's not gonna be anything like I heard on the album. So
Yeah, and I think a large part of that too is just making it fun for myself and the band. We could play all the songs like studio version, but it would be 3-minute songs, and it would. My guys like to play. We all like to just let loose on our instruments, so it keeps it
Hell
definitely
yeah, dude.
interesting for us.
Oh man, I'm all about that stuff too. I don't know. I it's not a good comparison, but like it's like a party. You know what I mean? Like I just want to party, and if you're doing that,
Yeah.
it makes the party fun.
yeah, if it shows if you're having fun on stage, it transcends into
the audience
Yeah.
and the crowd.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
100% agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt.
instead
Shit.
of being that band that plays the same song for the 360,000th time
And-
on stage.
Yeah,
You go,
There's
For 20 years later
Yeah.
and still
Yeah.
yeah, no doubt.
like there's nothing wrong with that. I do enjoy
Freaking
playing
nice.
music that's written. Like whenever I do a show with After 2 a.m., all
Yeah.
those parts are written. But it's not my music. I can't just call out, a solo or whatever. If I'm feeling a little spunky that day, I can't just be like, okay, we're switching it up.
Yeah.
We're doing this section halftime shuffle. Let's I can't really
Yeah.
tell that to a lot of people that aren't in that kind of improvisational mindset.
For sure,
much
for
like
sure.
the plays that I
Would
play.
you? Is there a lot of musicians out there that are like that can do that? That improv? Like I know Saul the singer can.
Yep.
But I mean, there's a lot of people out there, especially new ones, where like, no, this is how it is. This is how I've rehearsed it. This is how it's got to be, kind of thing. So
Mhm.
would you say like, is it 50-50 out there, like with people that you've worked with, or do you find
Yeah,
it's
it's-
more freestyling than not?
It's a small percentage of people that have that ability to just improvise anything, especially to the caliber that we like to perform it at. I could,
Yeah.
pull in some dude who's only been playing for 2 years, and if he was amazing, that'd be awesome. But if he was anything less than great, I don't think that I would pull him on, just because I do have that luxury of being able to say like, hey. And I've never run into this situation, but for the day that it happens, when someone's like, "Hey, can I play guitar in your band?" It's like, well, can you do this on the spot? Are you not only are you good at guitar, but are your solos fascinating enough to hold the attention, or are they just kind of the same thing? Is it like a Freebird situation? Which Freebird's amazing, but if you're doing Freebird on every single song where you're just doing the same riff for like a minute, it gets kind of old. And if that's all you can do, then it's definitely got to be a little bit of variety there.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
yeah,
and there's always that guy, play Freebird.
Yeah.
yeah.
So how long have you been playing with Sammy?
I have never actually played in his band, but just for open mic stuff,
Okay.
we'll hit a jam or after party if there's a kit there and some instruments and amps we'll play. So I've been playing music with him since 2017 or 2016, late 2016, early 2017. Just getting to know him, and like I said, he taught me how to improvise. He taught me how to play the blues because I didn't know how to play the blues at the time, which seems trivial now because the blues is the backbone of everything that I play on stage, whether it's funky or if it's a little slower or
Yeah.
even in my own music, the blues is like there's just the structures and
A
like
big
the way you
Yeah,
go
big
into
influence.
yeah. So he
Um,
he really taught me a lot.
Yeah, because I was gonna say he's one of those guys that just goes up on stage and he doesn't need.
Man, he's a fucking gem of a man too.
Yeah,
He is so pleasant to just talk to. I like that guy.
I haven't
Yeah.
I haven't had a real conversation with him, but he seems like it's like a genuine dude to hang out with.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you said you were highly influenced by
Did
like
you see his-
soul music.
Sorry,
Sorry, what?
did you see his Instagram?
Sammy?
Yeah.
No.
He had a story on New Year's Eve or something that because he played at the Capitol
Yeah.
New Year's Eve, and apparently they call him Slammy Sammy. And he pounded back a pint of beer in like 3 seconds.
Just open the throat and go kind
Yeah.
of thing. I
And
didn't
it-
see that. Is that on? That's on
He's-
Instagram.
Yeah, well, it's a story, so it's gone now.
Yeah. No, I didn't see that.
He does that. He does it a
Um,
lot. He's one of the only dudes that I know that can slam a beer and like just be completely fine and go on stage and perform. It's pretty impressive when
I-
you see it in person.
I would say I don't know, man. I would toss in Braden King in that challenge too.
Ooh.
I've seen that kid slam down some
Well,
beers.
he's 6'9", so that beer has time to dissipate. by
To
the time it gets
dissipate?
to his-
Yeah, he's not a small kid.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to bring the question I was going to ask you was like you had mentioned that soul is a big influence on you or inspiration, and I'm just curious, like, is there any specific artists that started or generated that inspiration from you? Like, who was the first artist where you were just like, holy fuck, that's what I want to do? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, when I was a teenager, I was rebelling against my parents, so I listened to a lot of metal music because my mom didn't like that kind of music. But growing up, like she would always be listening to like D'Angelo or like Erykah Badu, Outkast, anything like Soulquarian kind of Tribe Called Quest, like hip hop, of the early
Yeah.
2000s when I was growing up. And so I've always had that in the background, which is I did like that music, but not enough to download it or anything. It wasn't until I left home that I started listening to that kind of music, and I was like, damn, this stuff's really good. I don't want to just be in an indie band or in a metal band. I kind of want to explore this because this is like hidden differently. It was around that time that I got into jazz music as well. I was in high school and we were driving around for a school project, and I turned it to CFCR here in Saskatoon, and it was the Swing Shift, the jazz show. And I was listening to it, I'm like, wow, this stuff is actually crazy. My whole growing up, I thought jazz was just random stuff, like just like people hitting whatever. I didn't think there's any skill in it because it just sounded random. But then I was into music at the time, and then I started listening to it. Like, damn, this is like really interesting. So I started getting into that kind of jazzy soul era around the same time I started VB&D, which is when I left home and moved out. But D'Angelo has been like the biggest one for me. Specifically his album Voodoo pretty much inspired me so much that I made Daughter of the Sun and started wanting to do like full band stuff with VB&D, because before it was just electronic music, right? Just making trap beats and
Right.
future bass, which is a dying, I think it's dead, future bass. But yeah, D'Angelo was the one that like really got me into playing soul tunes and wanting to make that kind of like neo soul music. And I didn't hear anything coming out of Saskatchewan that sounded like that at the time. Yeah, and I still don't really hear that coming out of Saskatchewan. So it's
Right.
yeah. D'Angelo's definitely
Wow.
the biggest inspiration.
Is there any artists out there that like on your pedestal of who you would want to work with? Like if you could work with anybody in the industry or like worldwide, who would be your number one pick to be able to collab?
I mean, D'Angelo. If I could just
Yeah.
even if I was just in his
Yeah.
band for like a show or something on the bass, but yeah, I mean, you can't replace Pino Palladino on his regular basis, so that's just a pipe dream at the moment. But then there's also Toronto singer Charlotte Day Wilson. I would like to work with her on some music and stuff. I think that we have a similar sound that it would mutually benefit both of us in like a musical exploration kind of way. You know, like a
Right. Yeah.
yeah, like a satisfaction from music.
To-
Because that's why I write music, to like feel satisfied.
For sure.
Cool.
Is that like, and is that like, I'm presuming like you don't have a 9-to-5 job. Like this is your life, right? Like creating music and
Yeah.
getting it out there and playing live
It-
shows. Like that's your life, right?
It was for a long time, for about 5 years. I was just living off royalties. But I realized that I need money for things, and music doesn't often pay a lot. I was able to survive and pay bills and, you know, go out and stuff, but outside of like going out, there wasn't a lot of money for me there. So I started, you know, I picked up a labor job because I like working with my hands and working like working hard. So I've been doing that
Yeah.
for all last year. But at the same time, that's also like a two-edged sword, because I'm happy, I'm active, I'm getting money, but then I don't have any energy for music. So now that I have all this
Right.
time off in the winter, I can do music. Then I'm like, oh, but I need to do something with my hands. Like let's burn some calories or something. So it's been a bit of a double-edged sword. I do enjoy just living off music and stuff, but it's also hard to feel inspired when you're not out there doing anything. Or you can use that inspiration from working a hard job to be like, man, some days you just have like really shitty days. You're like, oh, it's just shitty.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write
Yeah.
music so I don't have to do this anymore. So it's like kind of like that fire under your butt.
Yeah.
But I don't have
definitely.
that right now, so it's like it's a little hard to write. But at the same time, you got so much free time and so much energy to put into writing music. Yeah, it's just this is like feeding into like my vicious cycle of jaded thoughts about music, but also the love for it, because I keep trying it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely, man. I want you to continue doing what you're doing, man. I
Mhm.
think you're a fucking great man. The
I don't think they're
conversations
stopping him.
huh?
I don't think you can stop him.
I hope not. I hope not. I hope you have a good grasp on that quote unquote jadedness you have with the industry or whatever, because like, dude, man, you're in my eyes, like, you're a pro, dude. Like, from what I've seen in the conversations we've had, like, I think you've got it together, man, and I can see even bigger things to come from you
I appreciate
pushing
that.
forward in your career. 100%.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean
it's
it, man.
definitely,
I
like,
truly mean it.
It's definitely like a problem I have with myself, maybe, or it does feed a little bit into me writing music as well, where I'll write something and I'll love it for a day, but then I'll listen to it again and I'm like, I'll just keep listening to it and I'm like, oh, I hate this, you know. So there's definitely some projects in my files where I won't open them for a couple months, and I'll open them and be like, oh, this is actually like pretty decent. And then it's like a whole cycle, right? So like,
Yeah.
somehow I gotta fix that. I'll figure it out eventually. I always do, and I always make a banger of an album. So it's just a
Hell
matter
yeah,
of time, I think.
I think that's a whole creative thing, because I do less web design now, but when I was full on into web design, it's the same thing. You design something, it's like, okay, this looks good. Then the next day it's like, yeah, maybe I'm gonna scrap this. And then, like you said, a
Yeah.
month later you get back to it, it's like, fuck, this was good. Why didn't I use
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, when you come back at it with fresh eyes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
100%.
Yeah.
In this
Same
case,
thing.
ears,
you need
I guess. But
you need fresh ears, or if you're working with people, it helps to get something from them as well. Like either like a guitar take or a vocal take or something. Then you're like, okay, I can kind of hear the song coming together. But as somebody, I'm so in my brain about music. I'll hear the full song and I'll make it, and then I'll be like, and then I won't try anything else other than, you know, listening to it more, which is, you know.
right. Do you ever like, when you're at that point with it, when, like, okay, you've heard it in your head, you've laid it down, you've got it out, and you're just kind of like, and you put it away for like 2-3 months or whatever before you come back to it. Do you ever show that to anybody, or do you keep all those kind of like to yourself?
It depends.
Like, are you ever
if I write
seeking input on any of the ones that you're uncertain about, or do you just kind of let it happen naturally?
Kind of both. It depends.
Yeah.
If I write a song with somebody in mind that I want to work with, I'll send it to them and be like, what do you think? And
Yeah.
usually it's like, oh, this is awesome. And then I'll wait for something from them, or, I'll put it away until we have something. And sometimes ideas just don't work out. I've had a couple songs where it was a full song and it just didn't sound good, so it just never came out. And I have a unreasonably high expectation of myself in terms of music sonically. So if even if something's off, like I won't put it out, or yeah, just because high expectations. If you're making like 1.2 million plays a month on Spotify alone, it's kind of hard to get yourself to be like, oh, this 1.2 million plays worthy?
Yeah.
Or is it kind of, can it kind of like not come out and won't damage, So I think it's just for lack of trying, really, is what it all boils down to, is maybe laziness.
That sounds like a lot of fucking pressure on yourself, man, to me.
Yeah.
And I can see how it could be like that, because I don't know, I'm just viewing it after what you just said. I view that as it almost not being as enjoyable or fun as it was once before. Am I wrong in that? Like, because if you're like, hey, that last song got 1.2 million spins or whatever, and this one might not be that worthy, so I'm not going to release it just because, whatever the reason, I'm self-conscious about it, or it just hasn't met my expectations. Like, truthfully, it doesn't mean that that's a bad song. Maybe it's worth 2.4 million, and you just would never know because you never release it. Am I wrong in thinking that, or is it kind of that double-edged sword again?
I think it's more of a double-edged sword, though, because like I do still love writing music. Every time I write a song that I'm excited about, I'm like on cloud nine. I love it, but then, then the reality starts to set in. I'm like, but is it going to be good? Like, I have songs that are to the point where they could be finished, but there's something about it that I don't like, or there's like one little thing that I don't know how to fix it, because music is a fickle thing. Yeah. You can change one thing and it will change the entire feel of the song, and so like it's really just about like aiming on the bullseye where I want the feel to be, and just like continuously throwing darts at it until one hits, and then that's the song. But at the same time too, I don't have a home studio set up, so I can't record drums or vocals or anything. So it's hard to kind of delegate which song is gonna be one that I want to even put money and time into to make it sound to where I want. And then there's also no guarantee that you spend all this money and all this time and all this energy that the song's going to end up being what you want, So it's just a lot of risk taking, I think, which I enjoy that, but at the same time, if you become jaded, and I would say maybe a little bit depressed about music, it's definitely a little hard to like motivate yourself to try to do something. Well, at the same time, though, like I understand just how privileged I am in my ability, where people would kill to have stats like mine, and I understand that this is like a special thing, and I'm kind of just wasting it by not doing anything with it. But then there's so much pressure on that, so it's just like this spiral,
Yeah, it's a vicious circle.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have another question about when you're creating a song, do you, like, the way I see it in my head, and I could be way off base, is like you have the song in your head already, and you're just basically laying it out and piecing it all together so that it sounds good. Have you ever like started what I'm trying to ask is like from the middle of the song and worked out, as opposed to like from start to finish in a song? Does that make sense? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried that? Starting in the middle and working out?
I've tried everything. I've done everything. All my songs, there's no, like, I don't have like a formula for it. I just kind of go in with an idea.
Right.
Either it's a chorus, or it's like a verse, or it's just a chord progression, or sometimes it's just a beat, or even just like riff on the bass, like an idea. So like, I've definitely done from the middle out, and I've done like outro backwards, which is interesting to do, because where the song, it sounds good where it is, and you got to figure out how to get there, which is, I think, easier. Right. But how do you know if you have a banger of an outro for it? And not every song should have a huge outro, or like a even an outro in general. Some songs can just end, and I think that's really cool too. So it's definitely you just got to try it, man. Like that's if there's any advice I can give, it's just
always
do
different.
It,
In the 80s, there were a lot of songs that just faded out. because the band just couldn't figure out how to end the song.
Yeah, so they just kept playing, and the guy
Yeah.
was just turning
Yeah.
the dial down
Exactly.
to like, all right, we'll
Yeah.
just end it here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
at 3:42 or whatever, I'm gonna start
Yeah.
turning that dial down.
yeah.
No
Yeah.
doubt.
And there's nothing wrong with that either. Like that's an approach that I've used too. Is the fade out because
Oh yeah.
you know, how do you end a song that just you can continue the groove for as long as you can, and then you fade it out, and the groove's still going. And you're like, yeah, that was a good song. Then you're left in silence after, and you're like, yeah, that was a cool song. So that's definitely an approach too.
What you do is you fade that song out, and then the start of the next track on the album is that same song fading in, and
The
then you
same
just
song.
keep
Fading
it
in.
going. The same
Oh, yeah.
song.
Yeah.
Part
It
two.
fades in, leads in,
Yeah.
and then you just
Yeah.
keep it going.
So it's
And there's
track
your next
track 4A and track 4B kind of thing.
kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's basically like a 15-minute song, but you get like 5 songs.
Yeah,
Out
cut
of
it
it.
in half and then.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
Some people do that
Yeah,
though.
I want you-
That's
Hell yeah, dude! I'm sure
That's
that
the
I wasn't the
whole-
first person to come up with that idea.
no,
just
no.
now.
That's the whole Abbey Road medley was just a bunch of ideas mashed together to make a medley at the end of
Yeah.
the B side of Abbey Road, the Beatles. And I've done the same thing where there's a part 1 and a part 2 next to each other in the album, but they're separated because otherwise it would be like a 12-minute song rather than two
Yeah.
6-minute songs. More digestible, I guess. you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, for sure. Before we let you go here, my friend,
Mhm.
can you let the viewers and listeners out there, like, where can we try and direct people so they can, and like the best place for them to find your music and listen to you, follow
Do
you,
you have a
all
link?
that stuff?
Do you have a link tree?
I don't have a link tree. I should, but at this point, I just don't care enough to have one. I'm not a social media person. I don't really care about social. Last time I posted was in November, and then the time before that was in July. So like, I don't really, I just do my music thing. And if you
Right.
want to listen to my
Yeah.
music, either on any search bar for any streaming platform, VBND. Check out my album Scumfunk or Daughter of the Sun. That's kind of what I'm pushing myself towards sonically. You can Google me, VBND. You might find some links for merch or my records if you feel so inclined to buy a record from a German company. YouTube, you can find me on YouTube. There's a lot of people just upload their music or my music onto their channels, and it's nice because I'll get paid from that. So if you want to really put some money in my pocket, listen to YouTube stuff. Or Tidal pays the most
YouTube.
per player.
There you go, sir.
There you
So
go.
yeah,
Mark,
just,
we're
BB.
we're
There you
big
go.
advocates on Title over here. Well, more Mark than me. I just kind of like wherever. I'm YouTube, but Mark's more Title.
Did you hear that? I think he's the first artist that actually
That called out Title.
mentioned titles.
Hell yeah,
before.
dude. No, that's great, man. We'll make sure we'll have those links for you guys in the description to this video.
Is there a song we can close the show with?
V's Funky Castle, the first track off of Scumfunk would be a good one. Also, League Strut would be a good one, the last song off that album. So either or, it doesn't really matter.
either or?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll play
So
one of
Whatever you
those.
guys want.
If you guys want to check them out in person, come to the open stages Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. at the Capitol Music Club in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and chances are our guest will be there.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us, my dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
I want you to know that I respect the shit out of you. I'm so grateful that I had an opportunity to meet you in person, and
For sure.
you coming here, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again, my friend.
See you Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah, see you Tuesday. It's been an honor. Thanks for having me, guys. This has been fun.